Here is Andy Hill performing a little sneak peek of what to expect this weekend at the 28th Annual Dylan Fest. And we'll be back in just a few after his sneak peek.
You used to laugh about
Please. Like I'm being really
everybody that was hanging out. Now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud about having to be scrounging your next meal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone?
Welcome back to the second half of Newsbreak Live, and joining me is Andy Hill from Andy and Renee and their band Hard Rain. How are you?
Hi, Hiba. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, and you just showed our viewers a sneak peek. You did an amazing job, and it's a little glimpse of what this weekend is going to be all about. This Sunday, Dylan Fest will return for its 28th year. That's so incredible. Tell me
That's
about
right.
the event.
Well, we've been doing it since 1991. It started when we celebrated Bob Dylan's 50th birthday. He's born on May the 24th, and so we now have it the first Sunday every May. And the astonishing thing to me is that way back in 1991, me and a bunch of other 30-something-year-olds were already looking back at a catalog of material by one person and thinking we should do a whole night of this guy. And here we are 28 years later still doing it.
But having an idea and actually making it happen and then having that tradition continue for years, how did you actually do this with Renee Safier, yourself, and your band?
Well, it began as a labor of love. I became a Bob Dylan fan when I was about 17 or 18. I was raised in Canada, and back in the late 70s, disco music took over the airwaves, and me and a bunch of other aspiring musicians, we started buying albums at random because there was a better chance that you would hear a good song if you just bought something randomly from the record store than if you listened to the top 40. So that's when I picked up my first Bob Dylan album, Neil Young, The Doors, Van Morrison, those people. And those artists shaped my musical life. So fast forward, Bob Dylan kind of was the ascendant one of the whole pack, and I was a walking Bob Dylan jukebox. And it was just an opportunity to have some fun. And Renee was my music partner and an incredible collaborator and a wonderful person. I've often said that if it were just up to me, I'd be doing the Bob Dylan Festival solo in my room. But because of Renee, we get to do it for hundreds and hundreds of people.
Tell me about the musical duo, you two, and how you guys kind of came together and created this with Hard Rain.
Renee and I met in college at the University of Denver a month or two before we graduated. My girlfriend at the time was a big fan of Renee's acoustic trio and took me to see Renee sing. And back in those days, it wasn't so hubristic to assert yourself at the band that was playing, and somehow I managed to get up on stage and sing Night Moves by Bob Seger with them. And we all liked each other, so I played drums in Renee's final performance at the University of Denver. We graduated, we went our separate ways. I returned to Canada, Renee stayed in Denver. We stayed in touch through the mail for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And then we both moved to Los Angeles independently of one another, got together to play one gig, and here we are 30 years later.
and your performance is great. We've been covering it every year, and hundreds of people come out to Dylan Fest. It's going to happen this Sunday, all day, right here in Torrance. What can people expect? And the great part is you can start buying tickets right now.
That's right. Tickets are on sale at our website, www.andyandrenee, and you can get $5 off your ticket. They're $30 if you get them in advance. They'll be $35 at the door. And what can people expect? They can expect to come with high expectations, is what I'd say. You're going to hear, one of the great things about Bob Dylan's music is the sheer number of musical genres that he covers. He burst onto the scene as a protest singer. Then he went into mysticism, rock and roll, electric rock and roll, folk, country, blues, Americana. He hits it all, and it'll all be represented at the show, plus some really funny things. Bob had the first music video with his song Subterranean Homesick Blues, and he stands as an ultra cool hipster in an alley, and he's tossing the cards. Each card has a lyric to the song. We reproduced that, but instead of the hip ultra cool Bob Dylan, we have ex-Laker girl Trish Luzio, and she dances around and throws these cards. We have a wonderful moment with his song With God on Our Side. We have a fun crowd participation moment with his song Rainy Day Women. That's the song with the chorus, Everybody Must Get Stoned. And we distribute hundreds of foam rocks to the audience members, and they pelt each other and the band with those rocks, and everybody gets it all out of their system.
Why has this experience, this festival, been so important for you to continue it for so many years with Renee and Hard Rain?
Well, as I said before, it began as a labor of love, but what it has become is part reunion, part celebration. It's still a celebration and a way of honoring a catalog of music that is unmatched in American music. That's primary. But for Renee and I as local musicians, what we didn't expect when we first met all those years ago to do that one gig is that we would meet such a generous and profoundly affecting group of people who have sustained us as musicians for 30 years. It's a relatively small group of people, but they are generous and fun-loving. And a small group of them, which we call the Little Lebowski Suburban Overachievers, are our group of volunteers. And they help us with these big events. And what we found is that people who supported us back in the 80s and 90s, who then moved away and got married and had children, they select this day as the day to return to Southern California to connect with their friends and with us and their previous life. And it's taken on a component of a reunion.
That's amazing, and it's also an opportunity for people who have never been to Dylan Fest to come out, meet new people, and of course, just have a day of fun. And the great part, I know we talked about this, is that there's dozens of other solo artists and bands who also perform that day besides your lovely band. And tell me about that.
Well, right from the very beginning, we were joined by special guests, but that has become a very big part of it. In our band, we feature pedal steel guitar player Marty Rifkin, who toured the world with Bruce Springsteen, whose shirt I'm wearing proudly right now. And he's a wonderful friend and our producer of our last 8 albums of original material. We'll have on the stage Bob Malone, who's a tremendous piano player, singer, songwriter himself, and is currently touring with John Fogerty. He's John Fogerty's piano player. And then we've got lots and lots of local artists. A fellow named Scott Gerber, who owns Harbor Music down on PCH, a burning electric guitar player and a funny guy. I'm looking forward to see what joke he opens up his part of the show with this year. A fellow named Dave Crosland, great singer-songwriter. Everybody. We had our first rehearsal the other day. The performances were astonishing.
And every year it gets better and better. And for people who don't know about Dylan Fest, it's a 10-hour event. So do people stay the full 10 hours? How does it work? And what kind of songs can people expect to hear that Bob Dylan wrote and performed?
Well, I'll just correct one small inaccuracy. It's going to be about 8.5 hours.
Okay.
We know 10 hours worth, but we've only got the hall for 8.5. And let's see, what kind of music? Well, we're going to do some quiet folk music.
Okay.
We have a beautiful rendition of Blowin' in the Wind, where we'll be joined by 15 acoustic guitars who will form a semicircle in front of the stage. And Renee will sing the song from a riser in the middle of those people. And essentially it'll be a crowd sing-along. So for the older people in the audience who were listening to the radio in 1962 when that song changed music, that'll be a very, very powerful moment. For others, if you're a hard rocker, we've got a band called Dry September that are going to do a Bob Dylan, Tom Petty collaboration called Jammin' Me. You won't believe the way Dave Takagi delivers this live lead vocal. It's just great. I don't know what else to say. There's a lot. The band is big. It's a 9-piece band. Renee and I play primarily as an acoustic duo, and our band Hard Rain is typically a 5 or 6-piece with a great electric guitar player named Kirk Macon. But for this show, we expand to a 9-piece. We add saxophone, pedal steel, and whatever else we need. So you'll see very small, intimate, powerful performances, and then you'll hear big, the pageantry of rock and roll.
So a lot of great music, fun, great people. And for people tuning in right now, we're talking about the 28th annual Dylan Fest, and it's being hosted again at the Torino Plaza at the Torrance Cultural Arts Center. So why have you brought it here in Torrance? I know you're local South Bay residents, but why Torrance?
Well, Renee and I have made our living here in the South Bay since the late 80s. So it's always been in the South Bay. For 7 years it was in my backyard. And then a light bulb went off, and we thought, hey, instead of this costing us money to put on, why don't we make it public, and we'll see if we can make a living. So at that point, we did it for many years in El Segundo, and eventually, I lived in Torrance, so I don't know how we came across the Torrance Cultural Arts Center. I think we were looking, as the event got larger, we needed a venue that could accommodate all the people. And in our search, we found the Torino Plaza. We met the folks over here, and they're wonderful. And so this, I think, is the 5th year in the plaza.
It's a great place to be, and it's local, of course, if you're a South Bay resident. So the event is happening May 6th, this Sunday, from noon till 8 p.m. Talk to me about VIP tickets, what it will get you. If you buy tickets now, how much are they? Tell me all the details so people can go out and buy.
Okay, if you get the ticket on our website, it's $30.
Okay.
And that gets you in from noon till it's over. And you can come and go as you please. We get a lot of questions if my child doesn't like, if I don't want to subject him to everybody must get stoned, can I take him home and come back? And the answer is yes. You can come and go all day long. If you wait till the day of, the tickets are $35. And if you want to be a real friend of the band, you can pick up a VIP ticket. They're $100, but here's what you get. You get an official Hard Rain shaker egg, so you can percuss along with Renee Safier. You get your ticket to the show. You get a CD of your choice. Renee and I have recorded 15 CDs, 3 DVDs over our career, so you get your choice of one of those. You get a t-shirt, an official Dylan Fest 2018 t-shirt. You get a Dylan Fest coffee mug. If you really want to be hip, get yourself a mug. And then probably the two best things, one is Renee will cook a dinner for all of the VIPs at a date to be named later on. It's usually about a month after the show. and all those people will get together, will watch clips of the show, listen to audio recordings, and basically just have a great time. And one person, every VIP's name will be put into a drawing, and one of those people's names will be drawn. And for the last song of the night, they'll get up on stage with the band and shout, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll kick into like a Rolling Stone, and they can rock out with the band.
That sounds like so much fun, and obviously there's no festival without some delicious food as well, right?
That's right. The
Or
food
you'll
will
have
be,
some really angry people.
yeah, and a lot of hungry people, yeah. The food will